It's kind of funny because I sit here and I look around and I notice that there are three different kinds of people in the room tonight. There are scouts, there are adult leaders, and then there's that very rare breed of adults whose boy or girl has aged out of scouting and they're still here, like me. Who else? Anybody else? Okay, we love you guys. Thank you, Julie. Julie helped out with Carson's Eagle Project. Carson was the young man over here on drums who, as soon as he was finished, sneaked out the back way because he had homework to do. So, three kinds of scouts. Why do we stay in scouts for so long? Because we love it so much. I never made Eagle, but I love scouts, and I pressured Carson to make Eagle, and it's worked out really well for him. But we love scouts. As a matter of fact, I plan to stay in scouts for a while, if Nick will have me, and Troop 337. I'm hoping for another invitation to Philmont or Northern Tier or Sea Base. Anybody here been to Philmont, Northern Tier or Sea Base? Who has not been to Northern Tier, Philmont, or Sea Base? Okay, a word about Philmont. Our boys chose one of the hardest tracks. They number the tracks from 0 to 30, or from 1 to 35. The higher you get, the harder the treks are. And our boys chose, for some reason, trek number 31, which was ridiculous. We tried to talk them out of it, but they went for it anyway. So we're going to talk about girls in scouting. And the first thing I wondered about was when Nick asked me to speak here tonight, I said, why does anybody care what I have to say about this? And he said, well, you're available, so that's why we want to hear what you have to say. I said, okay. So people did ask me when they announced that girls would be welcomed into scouting a year or so ago, they said, Dave, what do you think? And I said, well, you know, I've come around to the idea, and I really now actually love the idea. And I want to answer the question, how do you feel about girls in scouting, with a question for you guys, okay? Think back to when you were a kid. Think back to a restaurant that you loved to go to when you were a kid. Not Chili's, not Olive Garden, but a restaurant, like a novelty restaurant. Nod your head if you have one in mind that you went to when you were a kid. Is it still around? Probably not. Things change. Who remembers, I do, wearing khaki-colored scout pants, the ones that matched your shirt? Anybody here old enough besides me and Scott to remember wearing khaki-colored scout pants? Does anybody remember Cub Scout blue pants with the yellow piping on the pockets? Did anybody else besides me wear? I see somebody nodding back over here. You're also as old. No, you're not as old as me, but it's not around anymore. We're lucky to get the kids to wear any kind of uniform to the meetings sometimes. Things change. I'm going to show you guys something. I want you to look at this shirt, and I want you to tell me what's wrong with it. I'm going to try to show it to you so everybody can see it. I'll give you a clue. It's not on the front, it's on the back. Who can tell me what's wrong with this shirt? I'll bet our Girl Scouts might be able to tell me what's wrong with this shirt. Anybody have an idea? Go ahead, yes.
The color's wrong.
It's not the color's bad. We admit the color's not exactly right. That's not exactly what I'm looking for. Anybody have an idea? I'll tell you what it is. It says 337 rocks. Do you young people ever use the word rocks anymore? No, you don't. I'm lucky enough, I work at KWB, and I still in the frame here, Scott? I'm not sure. I work at KWB, so that doesn't make me hip, but I hang around with a lot of younger hip people. So I know that rocks is something that we said 10, 20 years ago, but we don't say it anymore. Now they say lit, like that song is lit, that movie is lit. I had an idea, we should get a shirt that has a campfire on the back with boys gathered around it, or girls, that says Troop 337 is lit. It didn't go over very well in committee, but I like it. So, and I had to tell the other leaders, they said, we got to order a bunch more of these shirts that says 337 rocks. And I said, no, they don't say that anymore. So they went home and they did an informal focus group with their sons and daughters, and they came back and they said, you're right, nobody says lit anymore. I mean, nobody says rocks anymore. Okay, I'm going to show you something that I had as a scout when I was a kid. This was our official Troop 70 hat. We had a choice. We could do the red berets, the folding kind of cloth military hats, nobody wanted that one, or the Smokey Bear hat. We wore these things proudly in 1974, 75, 76, right around there. This one went through the Grand Canyon, from one side of the Grand Canyon to the other side, and then back through sweltering heat, lots of cold, wet campouts. But do you think that any scout would wear this today? Probably not. I don't even know if I would wear this today. So I'm going to set this up here just as kind of a reminder of how things change. 1976, the United States Air Force Academy. Something unimaginable happened in 1976 at the U.S. Air Force Academy. Anybody want to make a guess what it was? 1976, the Air Force Academy admitted women for the first time. People knew this would be a disaster. It would ruin the academy. It was a terrible thing, except they were wrong. The academy thrived. As a matter of fact, more and more people wanted to become involved in a more evolved Air Force Academy. I have some connection to the Air Force Academy, so I got invited to go there to host an event for Minnesota cadets about a month ago. And after the event was over, I was talking to a senior, a woman senior, and I said, what are you going to do after you get out of the academy? Because they're obligated to serve 6 months in the military, 6 years in the military. She said, well, I have to decide between flying transport planes and jet fighters. Wow, that's cool. 40 years ago, we couldn't have imagined that. Now today, young people can't imagine an academy without women in the academy. My point, the restaurant that changed, the uniform that changed, the Air Force Academy that changed, it has to change. Things have to change. Scouting needs to change to grow. I work at KWB. Our target demographic is women 25 to 34 years old. But as those women get older and they age out of that demographic, we have to replace them with younger people. Just like scouting, as the boys age out, we can't say, well, we got a good group now, let's just get them all, let them all get older until they leave. No, we have to keep appealing to younger people. So scouting will remain relevant to them as they become eligible to be scouts. Those younger listeners replace the ones that get older and then go on to listen to, like, I don't know, whatever radio station old people listen to. I couldn't tell you myself. The same reason that 337 Rocks was replaced. We just have to move on sometimes. Welcoming girls into scouting. Talked to a friend of mine who is a Girl Scout leader and a Boy Scout leader. He's very ambitious, loves scouting. He said, you know, scouting has never been on the forefront of social change. Social change is not scouting's forte. We're definitely a follower, not a leader in that one. Scouting is about building fires, hiking, tying knots, and rainy campouts. It's not about the forefront of social change. But we've been pressured to change, and I think you've probably heard about this one. Maybe you've heard from a friend or a coworker, or you read in the paper or online. A few years ago, when we didn't even allow gay individuals to be in scouting, much less girls in scouting, you would hear things like, why are you guys involved in a group like that? It's like, well, first of all, we don't have a box on the applications that says, are you gay? We didn't care. We just enjoyed everybody being in scouting. But there was societal pressure. A friend of mine who was a scout master was leading his scouts through the airport. I don't know if they're on their way to Philmont or somewhere, and they got confronted by somebody who was angry with them. They said, how can you be a member of such an intolerant, awful group? And the boys, they didn't know what she was talking about. The boys are buried in their phones. They're like, what, am I in trouble? What did I do? So there was a societal pressure to change too. I'm not sure if any of you encountered it. And sometimes that societal pressure is actually a good thing, as much as we might get, I don't know, surprised by it. Scouting has already evolved, you guys. You know this already. I looked it up. Did you know corn farming used to be a merit badge? Corn farming. Pigeon raising used to be a merit badge. Taxidermy was a merit badge. Can you imagine one of your scouts trying to earn taxidermy merit badge? Maybe one scout in the entire state would earn taxidermy in a year. They've been replaced by merit badges like robotics, geocaching, and game design. So back to the question, what do I think of girls entering scouting? I think it had to happen for scouting to thrive and to grow. Not just good for scouting though, and this is something really important that I want everybody to consider. It's not just good for scouting. Who else is it good for? It's good for the family. It's good for the girls. The girls that want to be in scouting, I really want to see them in scouting. When we give away concert tickets on KDWB, sometimes we give them to somebody who heard caller number 10 call in to win, and they will literally say, what did I win? Or we'll say, you won tickets to go see the Jonas Brothers. They'll literally say, can I trade those for something else? We love people who are enthused about winning what we give them. We love girls who are enthused about coming to the troop or the pack and bringing that energy to the pack. So it's good for the girls. And also, guess what? You guys can make Eagle Scout now. That's pretty cool. Who's going to make Eagle Scout? Those hands are not going up fast enough. They're looking at each other. They're hesitating. I have a feeling you'll all make Eagle Scout. Just a side note, back to my son Carson, when he applied to colleges, that's one of the things that got him accepted into 3 really great schools. Was his essay was about his Eagle Scout service project. I like to think, and I remind him almost daily, see, that Eagle is paid off for you. The Air Force evolved. We are evolving too, but the great thing is we don't have to let go of our core values of scouting that we all enjoy so much. Be prepared. Which works whether you're an architect, a receptionist, a doctor, or whatever you are. Be prepared. Adventure. We all love adventure. We all love camping, hiking. We all love the idea of going to Philmont. I think most of us do, right? We all love hanging out with friends. It's timeless, hanging out with friends. Service to others is also a timeless tenet of scouting, even though sometimes you have to twist the kid's arm to get them to do their service project. It's a good thing to teach them at a young age. Hats like this, not so much a timeless kind of a thing, but it is kind of, I think of this hat as kind of a metaphor of what scouting used to be. I love this hat. It's shown a lot of wear and tear. There's holes in it right here where some kid, I remember he tried to pull it off my head and it ripped the felt, but everything on this hat is a memory. It probably is, I'm going to keep it for a long time. But it's kind of a metaphor of what scouting used to be. And girls in scouting is a good thing that shows we've evolved from this. And it's not just that. Our girls deserve the opportunity to go backpacking, to appreciate nature, to learn CPR, and the very elusive trucker's hitch. Very important. So welcome girls in scouting. It's good for scouting. It's good for girls. Just promise me that I'll never catch any of you wearing a hat like this, okay? Thank you so much. I'm supposed to open it up for any comments at this point, so any comments or questions are more than welcome. If not, anybody, comments or questions? Not that I have any answers, but somebody else in the room might. If not, I'll turn it back over to Nick. Nick, where are you? Nick, there he is. Nick.